running with it when I say, are we putting our insecurities on one another? Problems that we have with ourselves, the relationships that we have with ourselves that we are avoiding and we're not dealing with, are we in return placing these things on others to fix or blaming them for these things? I say yes. To some degree, I think we all do.
Is this music producer's wife in the industry?
I don't think she is. I think she wants to be because that was part of
then
some
why,
of the stuff that they were talking about.
Then why do you think, just what you think, that this show producer, Dr. Ish, or anybody else associated with that show would have created a scenario that was highly likely to evoke a negative emotional response from somebody's husband if they put his wife in that type of scenario in front of the camera and then don't display it to the world, where the world can then make a negative connotation about this man's wife? Why do you think they would have done that?
Okay, so I know where you're going with it, but I'm going to go the other way purposely. I think that, Mr. Jones, I think that they did this on purpose because, for one, they're professionals. They know these triggers. They're trained to see these triggers. And I think that they can see that this was the core of their problem, okay, coming in the door. And so it was up to them to put different tasks, different things before them that will expose these things. Because, again, I can't tell you, Nori, you are putting your insecurities on your wife, and that is your problem. You're going to fight me tooth and nail that I'm wrong because in our own minds, we're all right to some degree, right? So it's like, how do I show you that? And so that's why they create scenarios like they do. So they created that scenario because it's likely to happen in their world. You're all in the entertainment industry. Your lady is trying to get into the entertainment industry to some degree. She has her dreams and she wants to do something. And then Nori is a producer. He's already been around people in this industry and being put in situations that probably makes her uncomfortable. Okay, so they just created that in last time just so that they can see how they act towards one another, how they communicate with one another when these problems arise. Are y'all addressing the problem or are y'all just choosing to attack one another? And they chose to attack one another. And so to put that scenario together so that they can see it and have a visual while they're feeling these things, that's what's taken to the core of the problem. So that's why I would say they create these scenarios and expose them to that degree. And, of course, I know where you was going. It is entertainment, too. But me personally, I don't necessarily watch TV for entertainment all the time. I want to have a takeaway from whatever I do. That's me. I think it's the cancer in me. We just deep like that. But to me, I know it's a source of entertainment, but it's also a way to expose real things that's actually happening to us within our relationships. I do think that we all put our insecurities on one another. I do think that we make our problems the next man's problems. I do think that we judge others according to how we really see ourselves. And because I believe these things, that show and shows like it highlight those things for me. To where I can go in and I can dig through it and say, see, this is what I was saying. This is why I think the way I think. You see how Nori was blind to who he was? He was blind to how he was hurting his wife. He didn't even see how he was moving the room and how he was making his other castmates insecure about his own performance, but it was all based on Nori's insecure. Like he told one of the guys, look, you better respect the fact that you married and respect the fact that she married. Yeah, y'all could do this old good show and it's going to be provocative and it probably will sell and everybody's going to like it, whatever. But you still got to remember she married and you married. Well, if my wife is secure within our relationship and I'm secure within our relationship and this is what we do, this ain't nothing new to us, then what's the real problem? And the real problem was Nori didn't give a heck about their performance for real, Nori just didn't want nobody touching his wife. And because Nori felt like nobody should be able to dance with my wife, he is went as far as to say when the guy twirled her around, it pissed him off. He don't want nobody twirling his wife around, looking at his wife. Well, he has to be able to separate the two. That's your wife, but she's also a business person, and right now she's doing a job. The same way when you go in a recording studio and you around strippers and all kinds of stuff, and y'all doing the videos and doing all kind of stuff, that's your job. That's where you have to be. Those are those are some of the positions you're going to be put in, and I have to learn how to be able to embrace that and accept that to some degree so that it don't cause problems for us later. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but see, there's a problem with a bunch of stuff you said, in my opinion.
Well, go ahead. Hit me with it. That's the whole premise of the conversation.
You're assuming that all of this was agreed to ahead of time. I'm assuming it's not. You're assuming to a degree that they were going to put each other in situations that were highly likely to inflame a man about what a position you're putting his woman into with another man, and doing it in a very public way for public consumption. Well, I'm just saying what I assume you're assuming. I didn't say I was right. You asked me.
Well, I mean,
you can't say that that's not what it is if that's the way I'm taking it. I'm just
wait a
explaining
minute. Okay,
what I'm
let's
thinking.
just get on the same, right. Okay, let's just get on the same page. So assuming,
let me just lay out the scenario. I'll let you talk. Let me talk.
No, I'm assuming Dr. Ish and Dr. Tola
created it to cause controversy, because that's what these shows do. I asked you before, was this woman in the entertainment business? You said, I think she's trying to get into it. I take from that answer, she's not in the entertainment business. This was not a conversation these people had about, I have to accept you acting in a certain way in public because this is my job. Because it's not her job if she's not in the entertainment business. Wanting to get into something and being in it is two different things. If she's in the entertainment business and that type of entertainment, yeah, he's already agreed, yeah, I know this is part of what you do to make money. I'm in agreement with it. Go for it. As opposed to, he's not in agreement with that because they never have that, because she's not in the entertainment business. She's a stay-at-home wife. And now they're on this show, and this show is creating a scenario to evoke emotion out of this guy. Now, there could be some other side issues that are popping up, but I can guarantee you there's a whole bunch of men that if you put them on that show and he's in the entertainment business, his wife is not, nowhere near the entertainment business, and that show created that scenario with his wife, they're probably going to react in not a very positive way because they didn't agree to that up front. And the show knew they were going to do that, but probably purposely did not tell him.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct to a degree when you say that. I don't think that they told them every scenario that they were going to do, because it's all about catching them off guard so that it can really be effective. So, yes, you're right when it comes to that. But as far as me assuming that Dr. Tola and Dr. Ish put this together in that way, no, they say that they do that. That's the whole premise of the show. They deliberately do that to evoke these emotions so that people will deal with these emotions right there on the spot, or at least become aware of them. That is no assumption. That's exactly what the show is made to do. The next thing, the whole scenario was based on their lifestyle. They live in the entertainment industry. That is who they are. Those are who her friends are. That is who she is amongst. Okay, that is the life that they live. So these scenarios that they throwing out could very well happen. A lot of them have already happened, and they're only going off the internet and doing little research from their past that's giving them, that's highlighting these issues so that they can know exactly what scenarios to bring forward and how to provoke them. So none of those are assumptions. The only assumption that I am making is the fact that I believe that a lot of the struggles that we have within these relationships that we have with others are reflections of our relationship with ourselves. That's my assumption, right? That's the only assumption that I'm making, that I believe that. Now, as far as Nori and his wife, if you watch the show, these things are clear that they're struggling because of their insecurities. And they're struggling because they don't talk about these insecurities. Nori just believes his wife should be, like you said, a stay-at-home wife. Well, this stay-at-home wife no longer wants to be a stay-at-home wife. She wants to spread her wings and she wants to do more with herself. Now, that's one of their problems. And like you said, that should be a conversation that they will have. But it's got to be a conversation that they both willing to have. If Lori not willing to have this conversation, then she's stuck. And if she's scared to really tell Nori how she feels, then they stuck. So the only way to move forward is to deal with these issues that they have individually. She needs to buckle down and let Nori know, I have changed. I am not the same person. Like you always say, Keith, people change every 10 years. I don't know why it's got to be against the law for a woman just to decide that she wants to change and she wants to do more than just be a stay-at-home mom, that she wants to be more than just a wife. Like, why can't a woman go and have it all just like a man have it all? I've never understood that. But that's another conversation. But sometimes sometimes it's just spoken as if that's just taboo, and I just don't understand why. And especially if the man have money, it's like, okay, just because you have money and you have made a way, does that mean I got to kill everything that I got going on inside me? And you've made some really good comments over a few of our conversations that we didn't have. If you all go back and you check Keith out, you will see he has made some really good valid points to why that's probably the way that it is. Which one of those points is the fact that you said if you got a man who's already worked and he did so much, and he's already established himself, why do he need a woman that's going to go work 12 to 14 hours a day trying to get a bag when, honey, they already got a bag? And that makes a lot of sense. I can understand a man wants to be able to come home to a woman that's settled down, that wants, to be home and wants that, that low-key life, because that's what he's looking for now. But again, that goes back to the individual just making sure that that's what they're seeking, not just expecting a person just to be that. That's the only thing that I don't really like or care for.
I agree with that 100%. If that's what you want in your woman and you're a man and you're successful, that is what you should look for. The problem is many times people get together and form relationships based on lust and like. And usually you do that when you're younger and around the same age. And very rarely has a man or a woman at that time accomplished much in life. A lot of times they may have vision, they may have ambition, but it hasn't been accomplished. Where if that guy was 37 and that woman was 24, they probably would be able to have a better conversation about what each other wanted and what each other was able to provide and give comfortably, not just to satisfy the other person. But many times that's not the way relationships are. People have hopes, dreams, visions. They get together at a young age. Then life takes them on a trajectory. And it may not be the trajectory where either of them end up being, much of a financial success. Or they may both end up being a financial success. Or only one of them may end up being a financial success. Then all of a sudden, they start doing a lot of reevaluation because now they have not only grown, but they've changed. But it all goes back to you got to be able to have an open line of communication with who you with. Because if you're not, you're going to have all sorts of problems. Because if the person tells you, this is really what I want now, then unfortunately, that may be a deal breaker. That's why divorce courts are full. It's not only because people cheat or they steal or they lie on each other. It's because they have evolved in a way that now is so different from the wants of the other person, it cannot be rectified. So the only thing to do is to split and let each other go on and find fulfillment in being who one they want to be with or doing what they want to do.
Yeah, honey, they say one of the greatest lessons in life is learning how to let go, honey. So I agree with you 100%, but that would be that's the only thing that I'm coming up against here is the fact that I think people should be allowed space to change, space to grow. What a person was 5 years ago might not be what they are today, and that's okay. What we need to figure out is, do we still fit? Are we still compatible as we were 5 years ago with you being the way you are today? And if not, can we readjust? Can we make, how can we fix this thing, or do we go our separate ways? Like, that's life.
Church.
Yeah, but, back to the marriage boot camp, I really just watch these programs because I'm just into this whole self-discovery thing. And I really do think that this is like God's way of, or one of the ways that he shows us ourselves. And I think it's like that because we don't really get to see ourselves. When you walk in a room, Keith, I can look at you and I can just look at you and I can check you out and I could be like, "What's up, Keith? How you doing?" And I can really check you out and I'm paying attention to you. I'm getting a vibe from you. I'm getting a feeling from you. I'm letting my senses work and connect with you, right? And this is how we do when we come across one another. But how often do we get to do that with ourselves? How often do you get to check yourself out? How often do you get to check your vibe? How often do you get to let your senses flow and connect with yourself? People don't realize we don't get that very often unless we put forth the effort to do those things. It's just not a given. And so it's so hard to really see yourself. And so I'm not like knocking Nori. Like, I think Nori dope, man. And I got mad respect for dude for coming on the show and even letting that stuff come out like that. And when Dr. Ish presented the man the problem, he was like, dang, like, I think the emotion was real. And I think he was a little tipsy. He was intoxicated. You know what I mean? But they say liquor don't do nothing but heighten what's already there. And I think that Nori really saw himself and was like, dog, I didn't realize I'd be doing that. And I think when he turned around to address his old lady and, was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel like that. I think he was genuine and I think he meant it. So in that moment, I think he was accountable. I think he was vulnerable, and I think he was dope. And I think that more men need to look at that and be like, that's cool, that's acceptable, because a lot of men think they got to be so hard, they got to be so tough, which is why it's hard to see when something wrong, to be the problem. Everybody want to be right, everybody want to be perfect, and so to see him be vulnerable like that, I thought that was really dope. And to show his insecurities like that for us, I thought it was dope, and I thought it was also like a learning moment, And
I
so
agree
that's
with
the only
you.
reason
I think
why.
it was a learning moment. And I agree, it was real helpful. And I agree he deserves a lot of credit because almost no men I know would go on that show and do that because they're not going to be exposed like that.
Exactly. So I thought that was dope. And I think that that's just God's way of showing us, ourselves, because God always say the truth can be seen. But what we don't get is you have to want to see the truth to see the truth. It's probably a lot of people that watch that and that ain't what they saw. Because oh my God, I put it on TikTok and it got like 19,000 views. You hear me? People was commenting and talking about all kinds of stuff. And so a lot of the different perspectives were, some people said that they just thought Dr. Ish was just trying to push Nori and make Nori cry. That's what they saw. That's what rose up in that person. And I think that rose up in that person because that's something that they probably struggle with, vulnerability.
Do you think that comment is true?